Welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. We're very appreciative of your time, interest, and feedback about PSPNet Families Wellbeing Hub. I'm going to jump right in and get started as people start to join, just to give time for the breakout rooms. A few housekeeping items to make note of as you log on. The first one is your name display. Please see the instructions we have here to rename yourself. You can include your first name and, if you feel comfortable, your role. If you want to remain anonymous or use an alternate name, that works for us as well. If you require any technology support, which hopefully you won't, but maybe just in case, you can return to the main room where Amanda and Jane will be ready to assist you. We will be recording the event, just the pieces held in the main room, not in the breakout rooms. So as we are recording, we want to confirm that everyone is 18 years of age or older, and let you know that the breakout rooms are hosted by members of PSPNet Families and Family Matters Research Group teams. And many thanks to all of you for volunteering to do this today. To begin, let us acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this nation home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and to consider how we are and can each, in our own way, try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. We shared out this navigation introductory video with the registration link, but in case you didn't have a chance to watch it, I thought we'd view it all together now to give you a quick intro into the website before highlighting the updates and feedback based on the feedback that we've received since our December launch. Thank you all. And now I'm going to turn it over to Heather to speak about the updates to the spouse wellbeing course.
Yeah. So as part of the PSPNet Families site, we created the spouse or significant other well-being course. And the main idea behind this course is to really help spouses or significant others with improving their well-being, using some strategies that we know are really helpful for dealing with things like depression, anxiety, or post-traumatic stress disorder, but also just generally stress. The strategies are also actually really helpful for preventing those problems longer term. What I wanted to do today is just tell you a little bit more about what that course is. So it's an internet delivered cognitive behavior therapy course. In this type of treatment, what we're doing is taking what would normally be shared in face-to-face treatment and putting it online in the form of a self-guided course. And it's designed to sort of offer a new way that helps people overcome barriers to accessing care that might exist because of stigma or time constraints or rural and remote location or costs. In this case, there is no therapist support that's offered, but the research literature shows that there can be benefits from participating in a course like this, even without therapist support. The course that we're using was originally developed to work with public safety personnel, and we adapted it through a collaborative process with spouses and significant others to meet the needs of spouses and significant others, or what we call SSOs. The course includes 5 core lessons, and each of those lessons has a video overview, a slideshow, case examples and stories based on the lives of spouses or significant others, frequently asked questions, and then downloadable guides that people can keep long-term, even when they're not on the website, and homework suggestions for each lesson. In addition to the main lessons that we offer, there's also additional resources and a discussion forum that's available as well. Part of what we've done during the period of funding has been to adapt the course, but then to do a process evaluation to really understand how could we improve this for spouses or significant others. So we officially launched in July. And as of February, we had 119 people who signed up and then agreed to be part of the research study. And 96 of those actually then went on to complete the course. So there's some people who sign up that don't actually start. We're very pleased, though, that we had feedback in some way or another from 85 of those 96 participants, and 26 agreed to participate in a more fulsome interview to really evaluate the process of the SSO wellbeing course. Just in terms of some highlights, we had the majority of clients completing the core lessons. The 5th lesson has lower completion rates, in part because it's a relapse prevention lesson. We also had really good use of the additional resources. So somewhere between 13 to 30% of the additional resources were looked at by the spouses or significant others. And the top ones, which are probably not surprising, are PTSD, building motivation, improving relationships, sleep, anger, and alcohol. In terms of our interviews, we were really interested in trying to understand what else did we need to include in the course. And so we got some pretty strong feedback from those interviews about having more about how to support a partner who has mental health concerns and caregiver burnout, as well as some indication that our significant other resource could be expanded on to cover things like intimacy, loneliness, affair recovery. One indication was that there was a desire for more information on family issues and caring for children, which is part of the external website outside of the course. And then an indication that they were also looking for resources for children and youth, which is outside of the scope of the project, but something for us to consider longer term. One of the things we were seeking feedback on is how this form participation would work as part of the SSO wellbeing course. And ultimately, we had pretty low usage of the form, but the usage was there, was pretty meaningful. And so now we're just trying to decide what to do about the form, if maybe we should discontinue the use within the course. It might just be that there's too much going on and there might be a better place to have the form longer term. In terms of participant feedback, we heard very strongly about what people liked about the course, including these downloadable guides that they can keep longer term, the psychoeducational information, and just generally finding that it was helpful, that it was tailored to SSOs. We got ideas for improvement longer term. The top ones in greens are ones that we've been tackling. So making some content and process changes, adding to our stories. Some other things that they suggested longer term would be reducing the questionnaire. So really not necessarily being interested in the research piece of this. Increasing timelines because spouses have difficulties fitting this in, and then even including more audio. And so we've been working on this. We've done a version 1.5. We just launched our version 2, changing some content, processes, and stories. And then we're continuing to work on this going forward. So in terms of pieces coming up, working on the materials, but also adding in that video. And we are currently working on our French translation. So that's a bit of an update. If you join in the sub-session on the spouse or significant other wellbeing course, be happy to answer any questions, give you a tour of the site, and also would love to get some feedback on a few things that we're trying to figure out long term. So that's where we're at with that piece of the program. Thanks for the chance to share.
Thanks, Heather. And so I'm Heidi Cram. So I'm one of the researchers on the project, and I'm also a fire spouse. One of the things that's been really interesting for those of us who are kind of connected to the community more directly, as well as from clinical and research roles, is just how kind of bringing out the unique lifestyle factors that kind of shape the day-to-day life of what it means to be on the job have kind of come to pass for us. So it's been very interesting for us to be able to see that these kind of forces at play for what we're doing are kind of beyond our individual control, because they come with being on the job. And we wanted to make sure that we created information for people, whether you're a family member, like a parent with somebody who's new, or a spouse, an adult child. So, trying to make sense of what it means to be on the job and to really understand some of those kind of forces at play. And then to really try to look at what is it that's unique and different, and the kind of mashup of things that happen for families, and give them not just the information, but for some skills and strategies about how to kind of address those complex interplay of forces that are shaping our lives. So Natalie's going to take us through some more information. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie Reed, and I am also one of the co-principal investigators on this project. And what's really exciting is that you heard that Heather launched her SSO wellbeing course as part of what's embedded in what we offer with PSPNet Families, but the website itself was also part of this project, and the creation of the website and how it was all going to work and how we were going to navigate. It took a lot of testing and trying and rejigging. And so finally it was launched on December 5th. And since then, we have had a total of almost 14,800 unique visitors come to the site, which is really quite an incredible number when you think about what that might represent, and that hopefully we are filling a gap that on the landscape that is in meaningful ways, really, and in responsive ways. So what we offer so there's, of course, what Heather spoke about, the SSO wellbeing course, and we also have a families and couples resources hub that has the information pages that Heidi was talking about, and then strategies pages, which are kind of practical suggestions, but also there are downloadable worksheets and activities and skill building exercises to really be able to put into practice some of that information. So as I said, we had almost 15,000 total viewers and 39,000 visits to the site. Mainly our top provinces that are represented in our viewership are Ontario, Quebec, and BC. And yet we also have a bit of an international presence where we have quite a few visitors coming to the site from the United States and from India, the UK, and other countries. When we think about the information pages, the two that thus far have been having the most visits and people are spending the most time on our family responsibilities and role overload. And of course, we're just at the beginning of this. And so it's good information to know. And it also helps guide sort of future development. There are definitely trends that we are seeing. And when we go and spend some time on the site, you'll be able to see that at the bottom of every page, there's a little box that says, you know, was this information or was this resource helpful, yes or no, and then with sub sort of options. And from that, we're starting to see some trends in the information that we're receiving. One of the trends is that people are saying that it's really comforting to know and learn that others are sharing in the experiences that they're having, that their experiences aren't unique to them, but that this is part of, you know, what being on the job means. And that's really comforting to know that others share in those feelings and in those experiences. Another trend is that people are saying that they're learning the language or they're learning new vocabulary to name their experiences, which is part of that psychoeducation piece, but also a really great way of sort of being able to understand experience through the naming. Putting words to the experience was another trend that we were seeing. We also have been seeing or receiving feedback that, you know, while an awesome beginning, there are definitely places that we could spend more time or put more information on, such as later in career or later in life cycle experiences. And so we have lots of space to continue growing what we offer on this website. So that's a bit of an update. And now I'm wondering, Lisa, would you mind going to the next slide? So we really thought long and hard about, you know, it's wonderful to sit and receive sort of information, but it's also wonderful to go and play and to go and experience the website for yourself, whether you've been there already or you've never been there. And then we thought we had a really interesting conversation because the way people want to play is very different, where I might want to go and, you know, do a self-directed tour. Other people may want to chat about what they have experienced or what they're seeing. So we decided to make this next section of today's experience a little bit more choose your own adventure-y. So the breakout rooms, once they are opened, you are invited to choose yourself into the breakout room that you feel best represents what you want to do today. So breakout room number 1 is a guided tour of the site. So for example, if you've never been there or you've been there, but you think maybe you didn't quite grasp it all, or you just want to sit back and enjoy having someone take you through the site, then room 1 is for you. Self-directed exploration. If you'd rather just, you know, go into the breakout room, turn off your screen and spend some time touring yourself around, clicking around, experiencing the website, then room 2 is for you. Room 3 is a conversation room. So Heidi and I will be in there. And if you want to come and chat about the website, what you're thinking, what you've been seeing, that kind of space, that is number 3. Number 4, Sarah is going to offer a deeper dive into one of the strategies that's been developed, just to sort of go through the experience of what it's like, how does it work, what does it mean, and she'll take you through that. And then in room 5, Heather is going to give you a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get a little behind the curtains glimpse of the spouse wellbeing course, and give you a bit of a guided tour with a little bit more detail as to what it offers and what the possibilities therein are. Once we're done that 15 minutes, we're going to come back here. We'll have a little synopsis, some closing, and then we'll stick around if anyone wants to keep chatting. So if you have the capability of choosing yourself into a breakout room when that's open, if you know how to do that and what that means, wonderful. If you don't, hang here and we will ask you which space you would like to go to, which adventure you would like to choose, and we will move you in ourselves. So I think I will ask, please, for the breakout rooms to be opened. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see it says join a breakout room. If you click the breakout rooms button, then you should be able to join the breakout room of your choosing, and we'll welcome you back in 15 minutes. Thank you.
So the first question, how did you find out about PSPNet Families Wellbeing Hub? We wanted to know how you got to us. So. I also made the questions so that if there was a question that you're not comfortable with, you can pass. So once I see it's static, I'll move on to the next question. Okay, next question. What are your overall impressions of PSPNet Families Wellbeing Hub? So just, you can tell us about the content, the navigation, your overall experience. And this is a word cloud. So I gave people the opportunity to respond up to 8 times. Anything you want to share? Thank you for all those. We love getting all this wonderful, rich feedback. I don't want to cut people off, but I'm going to move to the next slide. Okay, do the information and strategies reflect the experiences of your family? are there points or a point over the career and family when this information would have resonated with you? We're trying to see, where it fits at this point in its development. Also, where we will grow and develop more content. Was the language easy to understand in PSPNet families? And now tell us what else you'd like to see in the website. This also allows for multiple responses to this question. This is very helpful. I don't want to cut anyone off. Okay, I'm going to keep that open while I switch screens back to our main content. So you can keep the conversation going and additions that you'd like us to make. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie for closing remarks.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. And thank you for all of that feedback. It does really help us to continue to think about how we can grow, how we can be resonant and responsive. In our conversation room, really great comments came forward about things that we hadn't noticed, thought about, seen, and I think that that's a really important part of bringing in people and then having these avenues for them to offer and for you to offer us feedback. So on each of the pages, to continue in that vein, on each of the pages at the bottom of the page, there is a box that says, was this information helpful? Yes or no, with sort of sub options. Those kinds of feedback opportunities are fairly quick and fairly simple, but they also offer us just immediate kind of to that page information about what we can do, how we can modify, what's missing, all that kind of stuff, which is very, very, continues to be useful for us as we think about versions 2, 2.5, 3, et cetera, et cetera. The other option that we do have on the website is you will notice on the right-hand side of the pages, there is a button that says feedback. And that button is part of the research part, takes you to part of the research part of this project. So it is the opportunity to offer a bit more detailed, in-depth feedback, kind of in a more overall sense, in the sense that once you've been through the site and spent some time on it, if you click on that button, you'll see there's beginning information about the researchy part of this project. And then you are invited to consent to continue, and then you can get into the more detailed feedback form. We really invite you or anyone that you think might be interested in supporting sort of the growth and development of this site to participate in that way. Because again, even these little snippets that we heard today in 15 minutes were so incredibly helpful that I can only imagine what we would be able to get from the more detailed feedback and even the yes/no feedback options on the website. In that same vein, if you want to email the PSPNet families email, you're welcome to do that. And we also will stick around at the end of sort of the more formal part of today if people want to continue chatting with us. As far as the photo contest goes, one of the challenges, shall we say, and I'm sure I am not saying anything new to many people, was to find images to include on the website that were, first of all, Canadian in orientation, Canadian uniforms, Canadian vehicles, Canadian badging, that kind of stuff. And then that reflected really the complex and intricate diversities of living in a PSP lifestyle, the different kinds of family combinations and the different kinds of understandings of everything, all the diversities that we'd like to represent, even so far as including rural and remote. I saw someone in one of the comments said more information on rural and remote postings. There's a lot of the imagery that is out there is urban in orientation and doesn't reflect the fact that I sat with a gentleman on the plane the other day, and he was the volunteer firefighter, the community law enforcement, and the EMT all in one body, right? We don't, there isn't a whole lot of visual representation of what some of the rural realities mean and look like. Also, we at PSPNet Families love pets. We love PSP pets. And, we're thinking that if we are going to build out sort of our repertoire of imagery, that including PSP pets is a fun way to also maybe even move towards some of the child and youth content that we have heard, that we saw in the Mentee being called for and whatnot. So we're going to launch a photo contest. We're going to ask you to keep that in mind, keep following on social media and looking, because we would, we obviously would like to build our library of images, but also there's the release form and the technicalities that are involved. So it was too much to do for today, but we wanted to put it on your radar that there will be this photo contest where we're hoping to build our library of relevant images. Have I forgotten anything, team?
No, wonderful, Natalie. Thank you. I want to say thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate your feedback, as Natalie mentioned. Also want to thank the CIPSRT, PSPNet, PSPNet Families, and Family Matters Research Group teams. as well as the Public Health Agency of Canada for their financial contribution to building PSPNet families. I put in a slide here just for you to follow us to find out more, as well as please consider joining the Families Network so you can stay up to date on all the events focused on families, building this families community, as well as research and resources. Now, we are aware, like we mentioned, that time was short today, so anyone who wants to stay on and continue the conversation, ask any questions that maybe you didn't get a chance to do, we will stay and open the breakout rooms or stay on the main screen and share out into the breakout rooms. So thank you all again, and we will stop the recording now.